Hello everyone. First of all, I want to make sure I understand the goal of this video. I needed a backup charger for my MacBook Pro 16-inch, and as you know, that original charger will be 140 watts charger coming in the box. So for someone it made not too much sense that 35 watt charger would be enough for this machine, but because of how efficient Apple Silicon is, I had a hint that it would work, but I wasn't able to find any information online with actual tests, how it would work and why, or how it would work or will not. But because of checking power usage of my MacBook usual circumstances, I noticed that it's using less than 16 watts in most of my use cases. So I thought, let's give it a try, let's test it out and see how it works. So I'll share some examples of my usage and how it actually works. Is it charging? Is it powerful enough? And having two connections, it makes it quite versatile device when you're traveling and you have like iPhone or Apple Watch as well. So let's have a look, let's dive into that. So this is how my usual setup looks like. I have MacBook lid closed down, and usually with Intel Macs I wouldn't be able to do that because we will start overheating, but because of Apple Silicon efficiency, fans are anyway almost all the time off, so it doesn't overheat when closed, and that will have a significant impact on the setup because screen itself could take up 5-10 watts of energy. So in my usual scenario, I have lid closed, I have external monitor connected, and I have external keyboard and Magic Trackpad connected. I will also give examples of watt usage with lid open to compare for later in the video, but for this kind of for first test, we'll have this setup, and you can see at this point it is using 6 watts of power. So let's say if we do some browsing, let's look for SDEF, maybe let's view some video on YouTube. Now we're using around 9 watts of power. At the same time we're charging, and let's say let's play the video, let's mute it. We're still using under 10 watts of power. If let's say we run compressor, motion and GarageBand, let's have a look what's going on. We have 33 watts of power at the peak, and then it drops back to 10. So there will be some cases of exporting some videos like a heavy load, so it likely would run over 45 watts power, but when you're browsing the internet, watching videos, listening music, editing documents, it will be enough to keep your system powered and at the same time charged. Obviously it will not charge very fast, but also having in mind battery load, slower you're charging it, less heat you produce and less wear you do to the battery. So I see only benefits when you have this slower charger really, and you're not rushing to charge it up. Obviously it will not replace your original 140 watts charger. It will be able to do a quick charge if you're, let's say, traveling or doing anything else, but let's say in usual usage, when you're at home and using the device, and likely that device is charged, it will be more than enough. Let's run parallel desktop with Windows on it. You'll see part of the screen, just as focused it, and let's run Age of Empires. While we are running Windows and we're having Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition trying to load, we're still using less than 20 watts of power, less than 25. So let's wait a bit until Age of Empires actually loads and see how much power it will drain while in the gameplay. So we currently have gameplay running using virtual machine on parallel desktop, and as you can see, it's still running less than 30 watts of power, and at the same time it is still charging, obviously a bit slower still, but we're still able to charge, to use the machine, and yeah, what else do you need? And it's quite a big load, and you can still remember that some apps are running in the background, and there's some video playing in the background. There are quite a few things going on, and it still is using less power than charger is capable of. Let's see, did it update some data? Yeah, it's slightly more than 3 hours, but what do I care if laptop is just plugged in and I'm not planning to take it anywhere elsewhere. So that's this use case. So now we have similar use case, but with screen, MacBook screen in use and external monitor disconnected. We have medium brightness, and we can see that we have close to 35 watt of usage. So you can see that using screen actually makes a big difference. So if I reduce the brightness to quite a low level, we have some drop in wattage, but its screen currently is quite dark, so very likely in the daytime you would not be using it this way. But still, if we connect our mentioned dual USB-C Apple 35 watt charger in, it will be charging, and now it's calculating the time. So let me move it a bit closer so you can see, just a bit more. So it is charging and will be charging, but will be charging much slower as we're using close to. So as you can see, it is charging. It's calculating time, how much time it will take to charge. It will come up in shortly, but you can see we're using close to 35, sometimes above 35 watt. So using it over screen on, so we'll have a significant difference when using 35 watt charger in this kind of circumstance. So it will be charging very slowly, or maybe not charging at all, but at least it will not be discharging the battery, because it will be supplying at least the amount of power which device is currently using. And let's have a look. So at this rate, it shows that iStat menus calculates that it will charge in 10 hours. So, but as you can see, so basically we're using close to 35 watts. It's still charging slowly, and once we disable parallel desktop, switched it off, and Age of Empires not running in the background, but we still have video playing and some apps running in the background, you can see it again goes back to 12 watts. So here you go. At this rate of charging, when we're using around 12-13 watts of power, iStat menus predicts that MacBook will be fully charged in about 4 hours. Here you go. So this is basically the video I'm filming right now, so it's in progress. And if we will do some export to Apple devices, an ATP, some usual export, I would say. Let's click save and let's see how it's going. So you can see it's currently charging. it's exporting quite quickly because it's not a long video, and you can see that it's still using less than 35 watt even when it's exporting the video. So it's still quite a good use case, quite a good scenario. It jumped up to 42, jumped back, but again, how long it will export? Not so long, and most of the time it holds below 30 watts. And at the same time it's still charging because it has some capacity. So I think that's the last use case we're looking into, and let's recap. So in short, I would say, especially if you're not using external monitor, not using the main screen, if you're using a laptop with your screen closed, very likely 95% of usual load on your laptop will be handled by a 35 watt USB-C, dual USB-C charger. It will be able to power it and also charge it while a bit slower. And there will be rare cases when you will be loading your MacBook so hard that it would be not enough power. If you're using your laptop with a screen open, there are likely more of those scenarios where there will be not enough power to both power and the charge MacBook, but again, it still would be also rare cases. So I would say, as a backup charger, Apple dual USB-C charger of 35 watts is definitely enough, and quite a good tool to have it with those USB-C ports available to charge other devices as well. So that's it. Have a good time.